Okay, so in this video we're going to talk about vitamin C. Now, the vast majority of people would generally tend to take vitamin C as a good antioxidant supplement for preventing colds and flus and preventing us from getting ill. Now, although vitamin C is an antioxidant, it is not a very effective antioxidant. Now, this is a completely different tutorial entirely on antioxidants and how they protect our healthy cells and how they work and everything, because there's lots of different levels of antioxidants, and vitamin C is probably one of the least effective in terms of antioxidants. But that's not to say vitamin C does not play an important role in keeping us healthy, because it does. Each one of our vitamins, and this goes for every single vitamin, none of them are a good source of antioxidant, but they are all equally as important as the next one, because each one has its own individual purpose and function within the body. So in this video, we're going to talk about vitamin C. Now, vitamin C is essential for binding and absorbing iron. So, let's say you've been told by the doctor you need to improve your iron levels because you're slightly anemic. Now, just simply taking an iron supplement or increasing your iron intake through your diet isn't always enough. If you are deficient in vitamin C, so if you are not absorbing sufficient levels of vitamin C, then you can take an iron supplement all day long and it will not make any difference whatsoever. So I want to talk to you about the best ways to increase your vitamin C levels naturally through your diet. This is what I always encourage. Wherever you can possibly do it through your diet, always do it through your diet before going to supplement. Supplementing is a last resort, essentially, or for those people who quite simply just want a shortcut. But if you can get it through your food, the food that you eat, always try and get it through the food that you eat. Particularly, this is something you want to encourage with your children. So it's going to be I know it's very difficult for you to get sufficient levels of fruit and vegetables into, particularly vegetables, because we want to keep the fruit levels down to a minimum. Fruit, yes, it's good for us, but in moderation. When we go overboard with fruit, that spikes our insulin levels, and that's what we want to try and avoid. So getting vegetables in particular into our children can be an absolute nightmare. So it is always a good idea to give them a good multivitamin supplement, ideally in a liquid form. Now, most good health food stores, most good chemists, they all have them in drops, or with a little pipette. So that's what I would advise you to give your little ones. But that doesn't mean to say that you don't try and get the veg into them. It is important to every single day introduce some vegetables into their diet to get them used to it, because it's repetition, and they need to also see you doing exactly the same thing. Children are creatures of habit. We're all creatures of habit. We form our habits from watching our parents and watching the people around us as we grow up. Our children are exactly the same. So regardless of whether you are supplementing, you're taking a multivitamin supplement, I would still encourage you to always try and introduce some vegetables into your diet on a daily basis. Ideally, morning, lunchtime, and your evening meal as well. I talk about that a lot more inside my Get Healthy Boot Camp, but it is really, really important to include them wherever you possibly can. So I'm just going to run through some of the top 5 sources of vitamin C within your vegetables. So red pepper is the best source of vitamin C you can get. It is super high. So it's 80 grams. Now, when I talk about when we talk about your 7 a day, consuming your 7 a day, it is a portion is 80 grams. Now, the reason 7 a day is so important, because and it doesn't mean to say you've got to take 7 of just one individual. So you wouldn't take 7 times 80 grams of red peppers, for example, because that's not giving you a big enough variety of all the vitamins and minerals, and that's why that's why so much emphasis is put on having your 7 a day. But when they give you these values, it is based on it's based on you're consuming that food raw. So the minute you apply heat to those vegetables, you're going to destroy 60% of the goodness that's in that vegetable. So here we've got, it says 278% of our daily value is in 80 grams. So if we were to cook that pepper, that 80 grams of red pepper, you can slash that by 60%. So it's only 40% of the 278% that it started off at. So this is something you've got to bear in mind when you're consuming the vegetables. Yellow pepper is slightly lower than red pepper, so that's 244% in an 80 gram portion. Kale is 160% in an 80 gram portion. Broccoli is 119% in an 80 gram portion. Peas, mange 2, is 80% of our daily value in 80 grams. So just to recap slightly, so if the best way to consume any of these vegetables is in raw form. And if you're going to go one step further, the best way to consume them is in raw form and in liquid form. So what do I mean there? So that would mean juicing or juicing the vegetables, or blending them into a smoothie, or having them in soups. So having them soups is just having it in liquid form, but you are still going to be destroying 60% of the goodness that's in it the minute you apply heat. So juices and smoothies are the best way to consume them, but that's not to say you can't have them just in raw form. So you could have things like mange 2 with dips. You can have raw mange 2 in a salad. You could blend. I blend broccoli into smoothies. I also blend broccoli into protein shakes as well. Kale, you can't really juice kale. You can juice broccoli. The stems you can juice broccoli. But kale you can't. Kale and spinach you can't really juice. So that would have to be blended into a smoothie. Now, I actually do a juice smoothie. So I juice a certain proportion of my vegetables, and then I'll blend the rest in into the juice. Yellow peppers and red peppers, you can juice them, and you can blend them, and you can also have them with dips, or you could have them on salads. So those are a couple of ways you can consume them raw. I totally appreciate that some of you may struggle with getting the raw vegetables into your kids. If you are going to get anything raw into your kids in terms of vegetables, I would say you are better doing it in juice form, or smoothie form. They may have sliced red pepper in as a finger food, possibly. I know some kids do like it, but it's just worth giving it a go. If the only way you can get it into them is through cooking, through making stews and things like that, then obviously that's what you've got to do. But you've got to bear in mind that you are destroying 60% of the goodness that is in it. Okay, So just always have that in mind when you are thinking about what you are giving your kids and yourself, because this is not just about your kids' future health. This is about your health as well. You've got to look after yourself as well, to be able to look after your children, and to be able to provide for your children. So no one's health is more important than the next person. Everybody's health is equally as important. So it is really important to set a good example. You remember, your kids are going to copy everything that you're doing. Quite often, there's kids that say, "Oh no, I don't like that," because their parents don't like it. So it's really important to, set a good example to them. So maybe sit down together and have some sliced red pepper or some sliced carrots. I haven't got carrot down here, but have it with dips. My daughter likes carrot sticks. She's not too keen on red pepper, but every child is different. So it's just a case of trying them. And again, kids go through phases where they go, one minute they like something and the next minute they don't. So if they're going through a phase of not liking something that they've always liked, try them with something else. Give them a taste for another vegetable, ideally raw if you can. To widen their taste buds. So it is really important to do that if you can. Now, I'm just going to touch on very, very briefly, as you've seen from the examples, I encourage you to consume your vitamins and your minerals through your vegetables. Now, the reason I do that is because I'm just going to show you orange here. Now, 80 grams of an orange only makes up 71% of your daily value. So you can see how much significantly lower fruit is in vitamin C in particular, which we're using vitamin C as an example in this video, compared to even broccoli, or even peas. It is. Whereas most people, if you were to say increase your vitamin C intake, most people would instantly think an orange. Most people would. But you can see there, it is nowhere near as high in vitamin C as vegetables are. So it is. It also is going to spike your insulin levels as well. So you've also got to bear in mind that although you are contributing to your vitamin C levels, that vitamin C intake is also, because of the fact it's coming from an orange, is going to spike your insulin levels, because consisting of 7.5 grams of natural sugars in every 80 grams of orange. Now I can tell you, because I've weighed. I don't really eat oranges because they are very acidic, but I've weighed an orange, and a large orange is over 200 grams in weight. So that's 7.5 grams. You can times that by three and a half times at least. So it's just under your daily allowance of sugar for an adult. So when you compare that to, my daughter's 1.5. So for their age, they're only allowed 14 grams of sugar. So can you see how so easy it is to dramatically exceed your sugar levels, just because through not having the right knowledge, and trying to improve your vitamin and mineral intake through having lots and lots of fruit, which is generally what a lot of people tend to do with their kids. Is they tend to feed them loads of fruit, thinking they're doing a good thing, and you say, yes, fruit is good for them, but you have to moderate it, and you have to be mindful as to how much sugar that is converting to, because it's still a sugar. It might be a natural sugar, but it's still a sugar. So yes, if you're going to exceed your daily allowance of sugar, it's better it being a natural sugar from fruit than it is from a chocolate bar, for example. But it is still a natural sugar. So if you go way over your daily allowance of sugar, well, that's not going to do any favors for your insulin levels. It's not going to do any favors for reducing inflammation in the body. Again, I go into more detail as to inflammation and oxidative stress inside my Get Healthy boot camp, but that's something you really need to be mindful of, and this is why it's so important. Wherever you can possibly get your vitamins and minerals through your vegetables, do that first before you go and get it from your fruit. Your fruit always must be weighed, always. And I think the best way to view your fruit is as a healthy treat, as opposed to a source, as a vehicle to deliver the right levels of vitamins and minerals into the bloodstream on a daily basis. See it as a healthy treat, but be very mindful as to how much you are consuming. So I think you're starting to see now how it is a very, very big jigsaw puzzle, and this is why you will always hear me say achieving good health is a very, very big jigsaw puzzle. So there's a lot more than vitamin C that we need to bear in mind. Obviously, there's a lot more of the vitamins, and obviously we haven't even touched on the minerals really. So there's a lot for you to understand. Now, it may seem very complex, and it is if you don't know what you're doing. But once you know what you're doing and you develop a series of consistent daily habits for you and your family, relative to each person's individual goals, it becomes easy. What once is may appear to be difficult and confusing will suddenly become second nature, and you'll just do it without even thinking. There are certain things like sugar that you have to be constantly on the ball with, but it's not as much of an effort because you develop that consistent habit.